My name is Nick. I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll know who I am. You're all going to die. Can't wait.
Florida sheriff's deputy who was fired for not confronting the Parkland shooter says he's looking forward to his trial. It's Scot Peterson. He was the Broward County Sheriff's officer. He was assigned to that school as the school resource officer. And during an interview with reporters last week, he said the public needs to know that he believes he did everything he could on that fateful day. Well, jury selection is expected to start on Wednesday, and Court TV's Julie Janae gives us a look back on what happened in February 2018, on that day that left 17 people dead.
I'm Scot Peterson. I've been a police officer for 30 years. I've been a school resource officer for 25 years.
On February 14, 2018, Scot Peterson was the school resource officer at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School when 14 students and 3 faculty members were fatally shot by the Parkland school shooter. Former Deputy Peterson claims he did not charge into the school during the 6-minute massacre because he believed the shots were coming from outside.
And one of the things that will shock everyone out there is we have 22 witnesses listed who say that they heard the same shots my client did and were 100% certain that they were coming from outside of the 1200 building and specifically from an area that some people think were hundreds of yards away.
There in Broward County, Florida, Peterson stood outside of the school building for 4 minutes armed with a handgun. Some of the victims' family members label Peterson as the, quote, coward of Broward.
To be honest with you, I'm not shocked. You can tell that guy had no heart. 2 guys who had a lot of heart were Coach Feist and Hickson. They went in there without a weapon. And this guy is sitting outside hiding, and he has his gun drawn, hiding.
I wouldn't want any law enforcement officer in this country to experience this.
I work with some of the bravest people I've ever met. One person didn't do what he should have done. It's horrific. The victims here, the families, I pray for them every night. It makes me sick to my stomach that we had a deputy that didn't go in, because I know if I was there, if I was on that wall, I would have been the first in, along with so many of the other people.
Prosecutors claim Peterson's actions show he was aware the shots were coming from inside the building and could have prevented some of the shooting if he had confronted Nicholas Cruz. Cruz pleaded guilty to the 2018 Parkland massacre back in October of 2021.
How do you wish to plead?
Guilty.
I accept your plea of guilty.
Then, after a 3-month sentencing trial in 2022, a jury of 7 men and 5 women decided the shooter would get life in prison instead of the death penalty.
Mr. Cruz, you are remanded to the custody of the Department of Corrections to complete the mandatory life sentences imposed by the court.
Scot Peterson retired shortly after the shooting in 2018 and was fired and charged retroactively a year later. Peterson is currently out on bail and facing 7 counts of child neglect and 3 counts of culpable negligence for the 10 people Cruz shot on the 3rd floor of the school. 6 of them were killed after Peterson arrived at the building.
I want the truth to come out, and if it's going to be through a trial, so be it. I'm eager. I think, you know, not only people in Florida, the country, most importantly the families, they need to know the truth of what happened, because unfortunately it's never been told.
Still with me, criminal defense attorney and civil rights attorney Casey Early. Casey, this is a case that a jury will start grappling with this week. We have this 30-year police veteran trained, the only other man on that campus with a weapon, does not run into the building, and as a result, prosecutors say 10 more people lost their lives when he possibly could have intervened to save them. Defense says he thought the shots were coming from somewhere else. What do you make of how the prosecution has to overcome, where he heard those shots, inside or outside the building, to make it clear for this jury?
It doesn't matter where he heard the shots coming from, what he believed. What matters is he stood still. He stood in that position. The video is the best evidence. You know, Chanley, I pass this school on a daily basis, and I have family members that actually attend this school. And not a day goes by that this school is not affected by what happened 5 years ago. And we're not saying that he could have prevented, but he failed to act in his capacity as a school resource officer. And I truly believe in his capacity, 25 years in being a school resource officer, you know, you don't encounter this, you don't face this, you don't expect it. But when the time came for you to react and move, you failed to do so. That video proved it all. Whether it was coming from inside or outside, you stood still. You didn't move. You didn't make any overt act to try to help and save those children.
Yes, we see that video. We see the two unarmed security guards. They run in, Casey. The one with the weapon doesn't, and the prosecutors say he was hiding there, taking cover. As far as the verdict against the Parkland shooter, I'm not even going to say his name, they voted for life. That outraged a lot of those community members. Where you are, Casey, do you see that in any way trickling into maybe an angry verdict in this case?
Well, hopefully not, because ultimately, as a defense attorney, we want a jury that is fair and impartial and not a jury of public opinion. We want them to look at the facts and evidence as presented and not from outrage or emotion, because, again, a defendant is entitled to a fair jury by a jury of their peers. But what we're hoping is that they look and analyze the evidence as opposed to being moved by emotion.